My friends, maybe Nintendo Switch 2 actually is just way closer than we all thought. Maybe Nintendo Switch 2 actually is ready to go. Maybe Nintendo Switch 2 is actually gonna just happen this year and everything turns to bananas. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce, and this is breaking, exciting news, piecing together some very intricate details to uncover what Nintendo is really up to. And I got to give a shout out to Dr. 81 for doing the dirty work to figure this out and find this in-depth information. This is no slight leak. This is no obvious thing tied to Pokemon or Mario or The Legend of Zelda. This is really getting into the weeds and getting scratchy and itchy. Ugh, just not good. But I will say it's very interesting, and it poses the question, like, is Nintendo just lining everything up for a brand new console reveal? So let me know in the comments down below what you think of all this. Hit that like button if you're excited for more Switch goodness. And it seems like the year of chaos continues because we have no idea what's happening, and that makes it all the more exciting. You know what we use every single day but never gets enough attention? Our internet browser. It's something we're using all the time, but it's more of an annoyance than something we enjoy. No longer. Because today's video is brought to you by Opera GX, an internet browser made specifically for gamers like you and me. This thing has made my life and my work and my play all so much better because it's got awesome specified features like GX Control, which allows me to make sure that my internet browser isn't taking up too much of my memory or too much of my CPU, so I can continue to game and edit without worry. Plus, it's got great customization, especially for someone that's recording late into the night and live streaming early in the morning. No more giant, bright flashing screens. You can set Opera GX to a nice dark mode with lovely, subtle neon colors that make everything just that much more comfy and cozy for your eyes. This browser also has GX Corner, an amazing hub for games where I can check in on the latest release dates, the best sales, and even play games directly through Opera GX. It's clear that Opera GX is the absolute best for people like you and me. They even have GX Mobile, so you can use the browser on your phone too. So make sure to click the link in the description down below, or use my fancy futuristic QR code on screen to download the Opera GX browser right now. Every time you click the link or use the QR code, it helps support the channel. Plus, instead of something you put up with, it's time to make your internet browser something you love. So basically we have, I'm gonna try to break it down as simple as possible because there's some very in detailed technological type topics and concepts here, but basically there's this Tegra 239 chip. And that is thought to be the SoC that is used in the Switch 2. Okay, now we have different evidence that you could go through and see and find out why Tegra 239 system on a chip is the one for Switch 2, but as far as we know, this is sort of confirmed. Obviously Nvidia and Nintendo haven't said this is the next Switch chip, but based on what we know from different leaks, based on what we know from different employees, the Tegra 239 is the chip for the next Switch. Keep that in your mind, 239. Now, what Dr. 81 has dug up that is new and interesting is a LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is the source of all the greatest rumors and leaks on the planet. I'm convinced it's one of the happiest hubs for all sorts of sneaky business. And we have this fine worker from, it looks like India, and they are currently working for NVIDIA client for GPUs. So that doesn't necessarily mean NVIDIA proper, but they're working on GPUs for NVIDIA. Now, if you look back at their work history, from October 2018 to March 2022, they worked as a physical design engineer for Siliconis Technologies in India. And it specifically says that they worked on different projects and with NVIDIA worked for the T239 project. Now, that would specifically be for the upcoming next-gen 4K big beefy Switch model. He or she or they worked specifically on this at Siliconis Technologies. Now, the rabbit hole goes deeper because what is Siliconis Technologies? That's not NVIDIA proper. It's actually a place, an organization where they tape out chips. If you look at their description of their company, it says that they are a customer-focused ASIC, Design Services Company, blah, 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 blah. We are specialized in providing on-site support for all tape-out critical tasks. And then the good doctor continues on with a description of what tape-out actually is. And tape-out is, in electronics, the final result of the design process for integrated circuits or printed circuit boards before they are sent for manufacturing. This would be the T239 NVIDIA system on a chip being complete. And this person worked on that process back as late as March 2022, a year ago from right now. Now, it's not to say that they completely finished the tape-out process, but they were working at a company that does tape-out processing, and so that company would be being used to take the T239 chip to its point where it's ready for manufacturing. Now, this isn't to say that, oh my goodness, the Switch 2 chip has been in manufacturing since last March, but it's to say that it's very close, if not already done. If they were already working on it at Siliconis back in March 2022, that tells us that this is raring to go and probably very close. Now, I've seen some assumptions being made that, like, hey, the Switch 2 is done and it's just waiting. I guess that could be a thing, but here's why I don't buy into that part of it. I know Nintendo has sat on things like Metroid Prime Remastered, but sitting on a new console is very different, especially when you're trying to keep things under wraps. And especially when we know that there have been a lot of issues with chip production and how that's impacted Nintendo's plans and timeline. In fact, all the Bloomberg Switch Pro reports were probably because Nintendo was prepping something and then couldn't get it ready in time. So the idea that they had this finished a year ago and are just sitting like tapping their wrist, probably unlikely. But this worker could have been assisting in the process that was ongoing in March 2022, and who knows when it finished. Maybe it finished at the end of the year. Maybe it's finishing up now. Maybe it finished in the summer. Either way, it seems like if this worker's LinkedIn profile is to be believed, that the T239 chip, which we know is the Switch 2 chip, is nearly ready to go. And then you line that up with the Pokemon Presents leaker saying that, hey, Switch 2 later this year. You line it up with Jeff Grubb hearing they're probably announcing it. There's a chance it could be this year. You line it up with Nintendo sitting out E3. Maybe this thing actually is already in production or about to hit manufacturing. We also know that they recently, over at Nintendo, had a factory leaker banned, permabanned, and thread deleted, which to me is an anticipation of them leaking something from manufacturing. And if this chip was taping out a year ago, we have to imagine that it would be ready to go for this holiday season if Nintendo indeed wanted to. I don't know all the intricacies and the inner workings of timeline of how things go from A to B to our hands, but based on my understanding, the bottom line here is it seems like the chip for Switch 2 is ready to go, and it seems like if Nintendo wants to push a 2023 launch, that is possible. And I'm going to say seeming and increasingly more likely. This honestly is really, really cool. I love getting deep into it like this and finding all the granules and seeing what they add up to. And right now, like I said, Dr. 81 doing good work. We'll keep tabs on all of this, including this Siliconis situation, the T239 chip, if anything else pops up. And more than likely, if Nintendo is going to release this console later this year or at some point in the first half of 2024, it will be entering production manufacturing soon. And it's almost inevitable that there will be some leak. Some leak, as small or as big, I don't know, but some leak. And we'll have to wait and see. It's very unlikely that Nintendo can keep everything under wraps. And that's just really the main reason I don't believe this has been done for a year and they're just like, la-di-da-da, sitting on it. I think that would be dangerous. Or maybe they're sitting on like, they have everything fixed, but manufacturing, I don't think there's a factory basically or storeroom where there's just like millions of Switch 2 ready to go and you could go pick one up and play one and see Smash Bros. Ultimate in 4K. Like that, to me, is very impossible. But getting ready to manufacture, being finalized and good to go whenever they say go, like that could be doable. And this summer is going to be wild and crazy depending on what Nintendo does show, doesn't show, does do, doesn't do, does say, doesn't say. I'm feeling more and more okay with indicating that I think we will get hardware at the end of this year. Maybe we don't. But as more and more things add. We're just getting a building sensation that something is in the works. So let me know what you think of all this in the comments down below. Again, shout out to Dr. 81 for doing the digging, and have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive there. Switch 2 2023. Let's get the shirts printed. Who needs to wait for an election in 2024? I'm already voting for Switch 2 as the best console. If it can put out like PS4, PS4K kind of graphics with some lovely, AMD technology so that we can have gloobies, and what is that called? AMD. What is that called? DLSS in there, and we are digging in to an absolutely delicious holiday meal. But for now, though, thanks again, everybody. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.